Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. It's great to have you with us again. It's Friday at 2 o'clock, so that must mean it's members meetup time. In this video, we are going to spotlight one of our amazing members doing fantastic things with their Smart School Council. And then the other thing we're going to do is bring you up to speed with some of Home Debate Club news and where we're at with all things that. So those are our two things we're going to talk about today. But before we get into all of that, if you've never met before, my name is Sam. I'm head of programs for Smart School Councils, and today I'm joined by Greg and Richard. Greg, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Greg, one of the founders of Smart School Councils. Nice to see you all, and looking forward to hearing from Richard.
Richard.
Yeah, my name's Richard. I'm from the Hart School in Staffordshire, and I look after the student leadership team at that school.
Great, thanks, Richard. We're really keen to get some insight from you about your Smart School Council and also some of the things you've been involved with Home Debate Club too. So fantastic. Right, so we're just going to make sure that we try to do this, make sure we've got everything set up properly. So if you're out there and you're watching, please let us know. What we want to ask you this week is, are you looking forward to half term next week? On a scale of 1 to 5, how excited are you for half term? Let us know that you're out there, and then once we know that you're commenting, we can make sure that you can ask questions to Greg and I and Richard as well. So yeah, that's going to be our question. Richard, I'm going to ask you to comment as well. What's your plans for half term? Anything you can make Greg feel envious about because he can't do it in Scotland?
Yeah, mainly golf. So whilst Greg's stuck indoors, I'm afraid I'll be later on this evening heading off to the golf course for a few holes just to enjoy the weather.
Wow.
How do you feel about that, Greg?
Not so good. I mean, so I'm in Scotland for everyone that's listening, and we can't play golf here yet until I think next Wednesday, and I'm not quite sure how busy the golf courses will be then. So we'll see. Yeah, but enjoy your round, Richard.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Greg.
Greg, what are your plans for half term?
I forgot it was half term until a few days ago, so I am going to keep spending some time working on Home Debate Club. I think that's one of our focuses, and just taking forward some of the learning that we had from our first week of kind of proper testing. So doing some work and dreaming about golf.
Sounds great. Well, I can see that some more people have just joined us. So welcome to our members meetup. We're asking you what you're excited for about half term. So send us a comment to say hi. Let us know what your half term plans are, and we'll respond to those as we go. What am I going to do? I could go and play. I think this is the thing that might upset you the most, Greg. I could go and play golf because I'm in London, but I'm not very good at it, and I have no inclination to do that at all. So I'm not going to do that, but maybe I'll spend a bit more time outside. So that's what I'm up to. Yeah, waiting to let you guys see what you guys are up to. So let's move on and let's get into the meat of what we want to talk about for our members this week. And that's going to start with a little bit of a spotlight on Richard and the Hart School and what they've been up to with their Smart School Council this year. So we're going to kind of sort of a small interview. Richard, if that's okay. And I think Greg's going to start off by asking you some questions. So yeah, over to you guys.
Cool. Oh, sorry, my mic was muted. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, appreciate you coming on. It's Sam's called it an interview. I'm just going to ask you some questions and just to hear about your experience, really. And I guess it starts with kind of like when did you first start kind of getting involved with Smart School Councils, and kind of how long ago was that, and can you think back to when that was?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm literally just ticking into my third year now. When I sort of first got given the opportunity to sort of take over the council, there was sort of a structure in place, but it was very, very sort of almost like non-existent. Maybe they'd meet every term and discuss something, and maybe they'd be asked every now and then to help out with something in school, but that was literally it. And basically what I tried to do is I tried to think, okay, how am I going to get more people involved? How am I going to give it a structure? And how am I going to get the people that wouldn't normally sort of join a school council involved with decisions around the school. And it was literally down to a simple Google search that I stumbled across the Smart School Councils. And with the sort of the resources really, and especially the class meeting tool, it's really sort of allowed us to have a sort of a big presence in the school now, and it has done for the past 2 years. And more and more we get messages from teachers and also people in the community now that know who we are, that maybe ask for things or ask us to come and help out at a certain event maybe. So yeah, it's done wonders really.
Great, and yeah, thanks very much. And so kind of over the course of that time, how did you kind of first get it set up? Was it did you have that kind of period of trying to convince staff and then kind of taking it slowly with students? How did that kind of first few terms work out for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trial and error. I mean, we had a group of about 10 pupils that were sort of from the previous council. And first of all, I sort of pitched the idea to the SLT, and I used the demo tool, I think, that you got on the website, I think, and basically presented that demo tool in front of SLT. And as soon as they saw it, they just fell in love with it, and they were basically fighting over who would sort of be my SLT link, as it were, because they just loved the idea. And it was not only, let's say, asking students what area of the school they'd like to see improve. SLT then got involved and they wanted to use it for asking opinions about stuff from society to teaching and learning. So that sort of initially kicked it off. And yeah, it was sort of meeting after meeting that we did. We got more tutors involved until basically we have every single tutor every week or other week doing a class meeting. And each year, this is my 3rd year, the cohort of sort of the communication team and the action team, as it were, have got bigger and bigger. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. That's definitely kind of a big part of it, isn't it? Is trying to get that kind of buy-in from the SLT to make sure, because as a whole school program, it's very difficult to embed it across the school without that. And have you? I mean, this is a question that I find interesting. Have you found any reluctant teachers? Has there been any teachers that have just been like, well, I'm not sure about this, and how have you managed to win those over?
I mean, you get that, I suppose, with any school, sort of maybe a reluctance to change. The main thing we did actually was that obviously you can see using the tool who's completed what meeting. One of the members of the school council who we sort of voted as being in charge of sort of using the tool basically come up with a little document that showed who hadn't completed the past, say, 3 meetings. And then basically what we did is we said, look, at this time when you're all doing your meetings, a member of the council's just going to go around and just see how the meeting's going, really, make sure everything is working right. And that helped a lot. You had all of a sudden the people who weren't necessarily buying into it, because they had a member of the school council there, even if they were just struggling with it, and hence that's why they weren't familiar with the technology. Just having someone from the school council who knew what they were doing helped them sort of get a bit more confident, and then they actually quite enjoy it after that.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I think it's that much more persuasive, isn't it, when it's a student who goes and just says, "Do you need a hand?" or "Let me show you how it works," rather than kind of a member of staff who it's a different kind of relationship. Yeah, that's amazing. And so what have you so class meeting's great. How's this year been up until the last few months? What have you been up to?
I mean, up until obviously the past few months, it's gone really well. Our biggest achievement, I'd say, was sort of just at the end part of last year. I'm not sure if it's happened in other counties, but we had basically Staffordshire County Council said that they were going to cut crossing patrols, just get rid of them. And obviously we as a school and students weren't particularly happy with that. So we used our class meeting tool. We sent a question out, very simple, something along the lines of, would you feel at risk if there wasn't a crossing patrol out front of the school? Because we are on quite like a big main road. And I think it worked out. We had 5 different options, sort of I would feel very much at risk to no risk at all. I think we had 80% of people said they would feel some level of risk to having no crossing patrol. So that gave us sort of a real sort of sense of power, especially having this information. We put a petition together and we took the class meeting results and the petition down to the county council and basically just presented that. And they were very impressed with it, and obviously combined with other people in the local area sort of campaigning, we got the crossing patrols to stay. So I'd say that's our biggest success. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow, what a really great example of the whole school having a say on something and then it creating some real world change. Wow, that's amazing. Thanks for explaining that. And then I guess what's the other side of it is the kind of challenges. Like, what is there anything that you faced which you didn't expect to come up against, or that you faced and are still continuing to struggle with? Yeah, so it'd be interesting to hear that side too.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned probably that the biggest is the sort of the teachers that aren't necessarily on board with it. But like I said, if you send a few pupils around just to help, that does help a lot. I'd say the biggest thing is probably just trying to keep the consistency of everything. I mean, we've got a new display board with all our council projects on, and just down to money, it's took a while for that to be sort of bought and put in school. So yeah, especially when you're not necessarily in charge of where that money's coming from. That's a bit of a tricky point maybe. But yeah, consistency is probably the biggest challenge. But we try and meet every single week. That way, sort of, and just like with the class meeting questions, we do that every fortnight at least. So people don't forget about it, and people always know there's something going on behind the scenes.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Cheers, Richard. I've just got one more question, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Actually, two. So the first one is about about action themes and where you are with that, and the final one is, how have you managed to keep your hair so neat during lockdown? Because do you live with a hairdresser or like?
Everyone's been asking me this. So our school has been very. I'm not going to take credit for it because it's other people in the school have been using all the design and technology equipment to make face shields. So one of my jobs was to sort of drive the face shields to a few different people, including my hairdresser, who basically said, "Do you mind if I see if it works? Can I actually, see if I can actually cut hair with it on?" And also my other friend provided her with the special gloves and things. So it works anyway. Put it that way. The face shields work for hairdressers. So there we go.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad. And the action teams as well. How are they going? I'm glad you focused on the hair, because that's a big one for me. I'm not really interested in the action teams. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, the action teams are going great. We've got a number of different projects at the moment that they're sort of working on. At the moment, we've got a Land with Care sort of set up. I don't know whether you guys have heard of Land with Care before. It's basically it's an organisation. You can Google it, and you can invest as little as £10 into a small business, maybe in South America or in Asia somewhere. And so basically, they use that small donation to obviously improve their business, and they pay you that back, and then you reinvest that in these little small businesses. It could be a taxi driver, it could be a person with that has a chicken farm. I think we invested last time, or a hairdresser. Actually, there was one. So that we've got a few people working on investing with that. We've got a science garden that we're renovating, and we're starting to plant vegetables for the local community. We've also got one that designs birthday cards for the elderly as well. Like, we've got a care home in Rugeley where the school's based. Obviously, we can't deliver cards at the moment for obvious reasons. But yeah, lots of little projects here and there that we're working on, which has been good.
That's amazing. Yeah, great to hear that. Thank you. What was the name of the site, Richard?
Land with Care. Land with Care.
Land with Care. Great. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'll check that out. Thank you. Right, Sam, did you have any questions?
No, I think you covered all of the major questions there. I was really keen to hear more about the Heart School and what they've been up to, and it feels like your Smart School Council is really sort of at the heart of your school community and everything that you do, which is amazing to hear about. And yeah, I'm also glad, Greg, that you asked the question about the haircut, because I've been staring at Richard for the best part of 15 minutes now thinking, why is he a more functioning adult than I am? Oh, well, that's why it is. It's his hair. So we've got a question for Richard, thanks to Helen for that, which is actually going to lead us quite nicely into our next topic, which is to talk about Home Debate Club. Before we do that, though, Helen, we will get on to that. We've just got a couple of things to mention first. And those are, so if you've got any other questions for Richard about his Smart School Council, please put them in and we'll ask him whilst he's with us. And then also for our members, Greg, you wanted to give a quick little update, didn't you, about what we're up to in terms of our CPD opportunities. Do you want to wait for that for the end, actually, Greg? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Happy to.
Let's wait to do that at the end. So let's talk about Home Debate Club. Richard, so as well as being a fantastic Smart School Council's lead in your school, you've been involved with Home Debate Club pretty much from the start, haven't you?
Mm.
So it's great to have you here to get you talking about it. So in your own words, if somebody hadn't come across it before, how would you describe what Home Debate Club is?
I think the main thing I'd sort of describe it as a tool that maybe allows people to continue engaging in pupil voice, but from home, I'd say.
Yeah, great. That's really good. Short and snappy and much better than Greg and I, who would go on for about 30 minutes trying to describe it. So that's really good. So you've been involved from the start. So we're going to talk about some secondary focused questions. But let's go to Helen's question first and say, yeah, so Helen is asking, what does Richard think is the best thing about Home Debate Club?
For me personally, I think maybe the potential. That's the best thing, is the potential. I mean, you know, yourselves have developed this in probably the worst scenario that we faced in however many years. So I think the best thing about it is that once this has hopefully been sort of been got rid of, we can use this for many different different reasons, not just because we're all stuck at home. So yeah, that's definitely up there. I mean, the way in which you guys can combine sort of yourselves talking about the subject and the voting, it's just got so much potential in the future, as well as now, obviously, but for many different uses.
Nice, thanks, Richard. Yeah, I think we feel that too, don't we, Greg? And it's an exciting place to be, I guess, at the start of something new, but that hopefully we've got a lot to offer in the short term as well. So just to catch people up on where we've been this week, if you weren't around. So and then we'll get into some really meaty questions then, Richard. So this week we opened Home Debate Club up to all of our members' schools. So not just an individual class, but to as many people in the school that wanted to get involved. And it went really well. We had a slight change in the secondary focused one, so we changed the timing of that one to be earlier in the day, and I think that we reached about 120 families, who was like that was the high watermark for our primary debate, wasn't it, Greg? Which is very, very pleasing. If you have missed them and you wanted to know them, I know, Catherine, you've been messaging about some issues you've had with them. Greg's going to post in the comment box now a link to the past sessions. We've updated these as well, so you don't just get to see a YouTube video of Greg and I talking to each other endlessly. It also lets you see the tool itself and the voting mechanism. So if you need to catch up on where we've been with past sessions, that link will be coming at you in the comment in a second or two. So, meatier questions then. Richard, what do you think Home Debate Club offers pupils and parents?
I think it sort of offers that unique opportunity to debate when maybe that you wouldn't necessarily do that in your family. You might do it with your friends, or but yeah, with family members, it's, you know, I'd say it's quite unusual, especially when you're not in control of the topic. You guys give them the topic. So yeah, I think it's that's what I like.
Yeah, that's cool. And we often think that one of the things for Greg and I when we were sort of dealing with the genesis of this idea is that we can't assume that everybody in their home will have these types of conversations or conversations about coronavirus, or putting them into a perspective that and a platform that allows you to share them and hear people's views about it. So that was really at the heart of what we were trying to do. Do you think it does that, Richard?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've heard a couple of responses from people who took part from my school, and they just said it's, you know, they had the chance to debate in something which they never would have done before. So yeah.
Nice, amazing. It's really great to hear that that's come through. So yeah, from how's it been sort of sharing it with the community through the Heart School? Was it easy to do?
It was easy. I think we've still got a few things to do to bring sort of the level up that we want it to be. I think that the next thing we're going to do is we're going to release a video by myself, unfortunately, for everyone else. At the Heart School, whatever projects we've done during this lockdown, we've had the teachers sort of create a video and sort of speak to the students as though sort of they're there with them. And I think that might work well for this. If I'm there sort of bridging the gap between myself and yourselves and the piece of software, I think that'll work well. We also have a system called Class Charts, which is a way of setting homework as well as sorting out seating plans. We're going to hopefully put the links for the Home Debate Club onto that sort of homework calendar as like an optional thing to do. So I'm not sure whether any other schools have similar software, like Show My Homework, for example, that can do the same thing. And we've also got a thing where our school can send like a text message / email out to every parent to say sort of click this link at so-and-so o'clock to join in with a debate. So these are the things that we're actually looking into launching this week. So yeah.
Nice. And I want to just focus in on that example you just come up with there, because one of the things that I think it's okay for us to share, isn't it, Greg, is that we'd like to be better at engaging secondary age students in Home Debate Club. And it is a unique kind of challenge for us at the moment as well, because I guess for a secondary aged young person, maybe they're less inclined to talk to their parents than other people might be when they're doing their home learning. So yeah, to talk a little bit more about this idea of you as the teacher bridging the gap between us and them and what that might look like.
So yeah, I mean, it will simply look, hopefully, like a video like you're seeing me right now. And I'll basically just be introducing what the software is, what it will be used for, maybe even sort of an example of one of the questions that we've done in testing. And there's just explain what time it will be, how they can access it. Yeah, just to sort of make it seem a bit less alien maybe than, no disrespect to yourself and Greg, but two people they've never seen before sort of running the meeting. So hopefully if they see me sort of saying these are these two people, they might, you know, be a bit less cautious maybe about it.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really great idea, and I think we'd like to open that out to you guys as well who are watching and say, is that something that you would feel comfortable doing as acting as a sort of a bridge between us and your community, to say, yeah, I'm Richard and I'm a teacher and I know you. I think this is a really great way for your family to have a conversation in a short video. I think that's a really smart and I think a really clever way of doing it. Greg, we got some interesting comments coming in. Do you want to just mention those while we give Richard a bit of a break?
Yeah, I've got some very interesting comments coming in. I just wanted to add to that as well, that I think we could also be better at just explaining what it is at the moment, because obviously someone coming to the site who's a Smart School Council member teacher kind of will have heard about it a little bit, but if you haven't got Smart School Councils in your school, or if you're a parent who maybe hasn't heard of it before, which is obviously a great deal of parents, then having something that explains it a little bit, I think would be quite useful for even from our side. But I think that's a brilliant idea, Richard, in terms of just giving a little bit of context. It might just be a minute-long video just to explain. It doesn't necessarily need to be very long, does it? And so great comment here from Kieran. Had some fantastic feedback from a pupil and their family who took part on Wednesday and posted it on the school's VLE. So we'll hopefully have some more take part next time. And also said seeing the results displayed as the pupils are used to seeing the results of the class meeting was great. So yeah, hopefully that they recognise, lots of the pupils, that it's the same as the class meeting tool, or at least similar. So yeah, really good to hear that that's been a positive experience for the children who've taken part.
Nice, that's cool. Thanks, Kira, for those comments. Really appreciate those. So yeah, looking to hear a bit more from you guys about whether you feel like this kind of video idea that Richard's presenting is a really good one, and whether you'd be up for having a go at that or not. But we've got some more questions, Richard. So you've had your breath now. Are you ready to go again? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, one of the things we need to think more about for us is this: how do we get secondary age pupils to want to talk to their parents about this? That is like the $1 million question. It's really tricky. Just share some of your thoughts with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think what works so well from what I've seen in terms of the class meeting tool in school is that it's very sort of short and sharp. You've got the result from last week, you've got the question, you've got the options, you've got the discussion time, then you've got the after meeting any actions, and I think they like that sort of short, sharp sort of way the meetings run. So I think that would lend itself to them. I think they'll it'll be easier for them to run if it was sort of nice and quick with the parents, even if it's the case of just taking their mobile phone around the house to wherever their family members are. Not even necessarily having them all in one group and having a discussion that way. But yeah, it is tricky because secondary school pupils are less likely to sort of do it, obviously. And I think the earlier time is better as well. The earlier time is definitely better.
Okay, that's good to know, because yeah, we've had some sort of oscillating thoughts about when the right timing is. We went for 4:30 and didn't quite have as much response as we would have liked, and then moved it earlier to 12:30, and that was better. You know, we're still, Greg, aren't we, sort of playing around with the idea of whether 7 o'clock in the evening or 7:30 in the evening would be an even better time to try and get a family discussion. So good to hear your thoughts on that. One thing we're also thinking about is this idea of making year group specific or subject specific debates, and then maybe that being a window into a particular group in secondary schools. So like, what type of age range subjects, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I definitely think could work. We've had instances in the past where certain members of SLT maybe will ask if they can ask a particular question to a particular year group, because it's such a big age range, especially in secondary, from year 7 to 6th form. Some of the questions that you might ask, the year 7/8s will love, and the 6th forms and year 11s will have no interest at all. And obviously with the other way around as well. So yeah, you can definitely, even if it's separate meetings, maybe one on a Wednesday and a Thursday, maybe for a Key Stage 3/Key Stage 4, that could definitely work. And even if it's just slightly different the way you run it, maybe just a bit more mature sort of meeting, and then a more jovial one, that could work.
Yeah, that we're very conscious that maybe one of the answers to this riddle with the secondary home debate club is that the format maybe is a bit too primary. So if there's one kind of format suggestion, what would it be?
I'd definitely go with having it, say, 15-20 minutes max. That it works great with the class meetings in school, and I think I'd say by sort of 10 minutes in, if they haven't had the chance to start talking about whatever it might be. From what I felt in school on Wednesday when I was sort of trialing this with a group I was looking after for the day, they were just losing that slight bit of engagement just because they just wanted to talk about it straight away, basically, just like the class meeting, really.
Yeah, that's a super, super useful insight for us, I think. And yeah, definitely something that we're looking at reviewing going into half term and what our plans are with secondaries moving forward. So thank you for that. That's super useful. Greg, anything from you?
No, just I thought that's a really good suggestion. Like we there's no reason why they both need to be, the primary and secondary need to be the same length. There's absolutely nothing stopping us shortening and making it snappier. So it's really good to hear that suggestion. If you know, because at the primary level it does need that much more sort of structuring and scaffolding to help people understand the context of the debate and also how to debate. And that's still a thing at secondary, but not quite as much. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting suggestion. Thank you, Richard.
Cool, amazing. Yeah, so I think we're coming up to a 30-minute mark, which is definitely where we should be for our member meetings. So I think that's fantastic and really great that you could join us, Richard. So we're just going to finish off with a few comments and then a couple of things to look out for from Greg and I. So yeah, we've got another comment. So the video sounds good. I can post directly to platforms. What age would you recommend to run with primary? So that's a really good question. So if you've not come across Home Debate Club before, we do recommend, and we are working at the moment with all age ranges in primary. I think it's Key Stage 2 is probably where it's at its best, because I think Key Stage 1 pupils might need a little bit more of adult support to access some of the questions and certainly the way in which they might form their own opinions. But as far as the structure is concerned, I think any age group in primary, and the more the merrier, is the answer to that question. So where are we heading over the course of the next week or so, Greg? Do you want to just let everybody know to finish off?
Yes. So in England, it's half term next week, isn't it? Even though I forgot. And so we're running another Home Debate Club next week at the same time. So 10:30 next Wednesday for primary, 12:30 for secondary. It's so we'll be trying out some of these ideas. Let's give it a go. It's slightly shorter for secondary. I think that's a good idea from Richard today. So if you'd like to get involved, homedebateclub.com, and you can sign up to the email list to get reminders, or you can join the Facebook group as well. So yeah, please do take part in that. And then I think after half term, what we'd be looking for you to do is to keep reminding, if you're a member school, keep reminding your families and parents that it's a resource that they can access. And we're also going to be asking you to spread it out to other schools that you know. We think we can handle 5,000 families on Home Debate Club at the same time, and so that's our kind of I don't know what happens when it gets to there, Sam, but we'll see. But we want more schools and other people to take part and get involved in this. So we'll be getting in touch with schools on after half term on kind of how to tell other schools. So that's Home Debate Club. And then two other things, if member teachers who are watching, we've got our program of free CPD over the course of the summer term, which is all online, kind of bite size. It's not going to be too dissimilar from this, like quite relaxed chat with a teacher about one aspect of their Smart School Council. And so if you'd like to join in on that, then let me post a link into the group. And then second thing is, if you're not a member of Smart School Councils, we've got a new cohort starting on June the 1st. It's a kind of new way of supporting schools through setting one up, and that's going to involve, it's called the Mandela cohort. So it's 10 schools, and we're going to help those 10 schools to set up the building blocks of Smart School Councils, do some of the things that Rich just talked about in terms of, you know, getting staff on board, making sure everyone understands the process. And we're going to be doing that this side of summer in anticipation of some kind of return after summer, although obviously that's a bit of an unknown at the moment. So yeah, if you would like to join and you know, make sure everybody's involved in your school, then find out more. And also, if you remember, likewise, there's the CPD link that I've posted in there. So yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to round up on. Anything else, or is that okay, Sam?
No, I think that was a perfect roundup. So we know that for lots of our members, you might not be sending out links or reminders to parents next week because it's half term in England, and you want to give them a bit of a break from home learning, and that's cool. What we would like you to think about is still potentially sending out home debate club stuff, maybe at the end of the day today, if that's more appropriate, because we are going to be doing our debates next week, and we want people to know about that so they can come and get involved. So yeah, if you feel able to do that, if you feel like you can do that, we'll be letting you know how to do it. And yeah, well, it's easy. Send them to homedebateclub.com. Click on primary or secondary. That's all you have to do. So yeah, I think that's our final message. So thank you all for joining us for our Friday meetup. It'll be great to see you again. I'm not sure if we'll do it next week because it's half term, but maybe we will. And Richard, again to you, a huge thank you for coming on and sharing all of your pearls of wisdom and your experiences with Muscle Council. So thank you so much.
Thank you. If anyone ever wants to see any examples of pictures or newsletters that I've made, they could just let yourself or Greg know. I'm happy to share that.
Yeah, that's really generous. Thank you. Yeah, that's really kind of you. I'm sure people will bite your ear off for that, Richard. You're now going to spend the next 6 months of your life getting emails from Greg and I being like, oh, can you talk to this teacher, please? Can you talk to that teacher? So look forward to those emails. All right. Thanks very much to you all out there. Have a great weekend and half term, and speak to you all soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.